Hi. I'll give you a brief little thing. My name is Mike, and I'm Catholic. And the only reason I'm on making these videos is because I'm Catholic, and I want to try to get the Catholic perspective out. I think too many people have, the wrong opinion of the church. Most people don't know what they're talking about. Most people don't know what they're talking about. Sorry. If you disagree with the church, there's a good chance you can't articulate the church's position to me. You just have it in your mind what you think it is. The church is against women. There's nonsense. But what I wanted to talk about today, well, let me give you a brief. I was away from the church. Had a good foundation of the church, so I was around 12 or so. My mom died. Our family kind of imploded. I imploded. I won't drag my family into it. I imploded and came back to the church maybe 10 years ago. And really didn't know too much more than what I remembered as a 12-year-old, which is I had a good foundation. I had Catholic school 8 years, and I was in my church. My mom was very active in the church. Our family was fairly active in the church. I was the altar boy, sang in the choir. My mom played the pipe organ, a real pipe organ with the pipes and everything. Was in the choir and was the secretary of our CCD, the School of Religion classes for the public school kids. So I had a good foundation, but then, like I say, I left. It's not that I renounced the church. I simply forgot that it existed or put it behind me and lived my life like so many people do today in the secular world. Whatever modern culture said was good, probably I agreed with. So anyway, I came back to church a few years ago, and I was challenged by a family member of why I was Catholic, and at that point I couldn't really tell you. I didn't really know. I was baptized. I was raised Catholic. My parents were Catholic. So I was Catholic. It was as simple as that. Your mom and dad tell you something, and why do you believe in God? Because mom and dad told me so. Which is why most people are in their religion, because that's the religion of their youth, of their parents, and that's how they were learned and were trained. So why am I Catholic? Initially, because that's what my parents said. But as a man, I had to make it my own. I had to understand, why was I Catholic? And when I came back, I couldn't even tell you why I believed in God. If I was a betting man, I would probably say, okay, there's this God, and he made all this, and he did this, and I can't see him, and blah, blah, blah. And I would say, yeah, okay. As a adult with a brain going, okay, give me facts. Not as an adult with a brain. I would have looked at it, and I did look at it as, give me facts. Let's see, where's the proof that there is this God? Which, of course, we have many logical reasons to believe in God. Can I go and touch God? Not necessarily. Can we do a DNA test on God? No, because that's thinking of God in a certain way, and that's as if God is this being that we can just go and touch somewhere. He's in heaven. We always think of God up and the devil down. But anyway, I'm getting off track. The idea was that when I came back, I would spend a lot of time in prayer on the altar near the Blessed Sacrament, which is the Eucharist, which is what Catholics believe. The host that's been consecrated, the little wafer, the communion, is Jesus. And I would spend time on the altar praying. I started to read my Bible. I started to go to Mass, started to go to confession. And as I was saying, if I was a betting man, I would not bet on God when I first came back to the church. So I was having a little problem with that. The whole issue of, why was I Catholic? Why did I even believe in God or Jesus? So what I'm getting at here is, there is a movie out now. I had a book that I got. I don't know who gave it to me, and it was called The Case for Christ by Mike Vogel. I'm sorry, Mike Vogel. By Lee Strobel. And I've lost that book, and it's one of the most influential books that helped bring me back to the church and help jumpstart my faith that I had up until the time I was 12. And what it basically is, it was about a journalist who goes about the idea of taking just the facts of the Gospels and any outside sources that could be considered factual that he could find about Jesus, and taking it as a journalist and, you know, just looking at the facts. So we have the Gospels, and people complain, oh, it's, you know, you're believing it just because the Gospel told you. But there's also Roman and there's also Jewish historians who have spoken about Jesus, and the gist is that there was this man named Jesus who preached, who reportedly did these miracles, who was arrested and beaten and crucified by the Romans, and who reportedly rose from the dead. Witnesses say that he rose from the dead. This is not just the Gospels. This is Roman and Jewish historians, two groups who would have no reason to want to talk up Jesus. The Jewish, of course, historian would not. And the Romans, you know, Jesus was, in a way, to them, you know, a thorn in their side. So the whole thing is, I got this book, and it was talking about Jesus, and I came to believe that Jesus, from the book, and you'll have to read the book, or now apparently there's a movie out, and that's why we're here today, to talk about that movie. I have not seen the movie, but when I looked, I just thought, wow. So I've lost this one of the most awesome books that I had that helped bring me back to the church. And what it did for me was it convinced me that there was this man. There is a historical man named Jesus, who did these things. And then there's apostles who recounted that he did these things and went to their death rather than deny it. If one of the things I think he says is people don't die for a lie. If they knew that Jesus did not do the things that they said he did, then they would just say it and get off the hook. Instead, what did it get them? It got them nothing. It didn't get them fortune. It didn't get them fame. It got them dead. It got them tortured and dead. That's all believing in Jesus. Well, that's what believing in Jesus got them. It also got them eternity in heaven, but that's another story. So this book brought me to the realization that there was this man named Jesus who probably was the Son of God, because no one does the things he did, spoke the way he did, and rose. I've heard of no one who's ever risen from the dead. So this makes Jesus a different man among men. I came to believe that Jesus most likely was the Son of God, is the Son of God. And if there was a Son of God, if there is a Son of God, there must be a God to be son of. So I did it backwards. I came to believe in God through Jesus. Now, if I got Jesus is the Son of God, there is a God, then why not just go the next step, the next logical step to the Trinity, and believe in the Holy Spirit? That's not a very good triangle, is it? So God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. So anyway, I wanted to just talk about this morning because here's a movie made about a book that was influential for me. So, haven't seen the movie. Thanks.